AI, or artificial intelligence, has made massive improvements recently. It's affecting almost every industry. But is there a world that exists that McDonald's would provide a better customer experience than Chick-fil-A? And if they do, what's more important, humans or robots? That's the topic for today. Let's jump in.
It's time for the My Retirement Clarity Podcast with Lee Perkins, financial planner and president of J.L. Perkins Wealth Management. Get ready for a good dose of inspiration, simplicity, implementation, and of course, clarity on how to successfully prepare for retirement and grow and preserve your wealth. Here's Ben George with Lee Perkins.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the My Retirement Clarity Podcast. I really appreciate you listening today. This is really a lot of fun. We've been doing this show for 3.5 years. I just looked back and man, time has really flown by. We're almost to 110 episodes, and we have conversations with people that tell us that they've gone back and listened to every one of our episodes, and when they finally talk to us on the phone, they feel like they know us just from listening to the show. So again, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And if you do enjoy the show, we would be honored if you'd share the podcast with somebody. This is the way that we can expand the reach of the show and fulfill our mission of helping good people make great decisions so they can have an amazing retirement. That's what we're trying to do for everybody that we work with. So there's been a lot of chatter recently about Robo advisors sort of taking over this industry that I'm in. And you know, as a matter of fact, that conversation's been around, you know, maybe the last 3, 4, 5 years or so. And there's really probably no way to dispute the enhancement of technology over that period of time. What seemed impossible just a few years ago is now a reality. So AI, or artificial intelligence, of course, it's come a long way during that time. And I don't know if you remember the movie. I think it was in the 80s. It might have been the early 90s. It was called War Games. I just remember the scene where the computer was talking to the kid in his bedroom and said, "Do you want to play a game?" And that seemed pretty far-fetched back then, but it was really pretty cool that a computer could actually talk to somebody. But today, it's very common. Our GPS talks to us almost daily. We can ask Siri almost anything, and she'll give us an answer that may or may not be accurate, but that's not the point. The point is the technology has advanced to such a stage that it can be used for a lot of things that were once unimaginable. We just couldn't think of it back then. So before I sort of jump into Robo advisors and whether or not our company is going to survive this age of the robot, let me tell you a little bit about my trip to McDonald's over the weekend. Now, we were in Orlando. Now, this was my wife, my daughter, and I. We were there in Orlando for her final cheer competition of the year. So this competition is called the Summit, and all throughout the year, competition cheerleading teams, they compete for an opportunity to show up at this tournament. You get one day, and after the first day, if you're in the top, you get to advance to the finals on Sunday. And the pressure that these athletes are under is crazy. It's really cool to watch them do what they do. But this is the most important competition of the year. I guess they would call this the granddaddy of them all if this was a football game. I'm still sort of learning this whole cheerleading lingo, but it is the crown jewel of cheer. So it was a long couple of days for us. We stayed about 25 minutes from the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex. Her typical day was usually a practice. Then she had to be back at the facility to watch another one of her teams in her organization perform. Then she had to go back later on the day for either a team event or competition. So either me or my wife had to drive back and forth 3 or 4 times a day. So on Saturday, I decided instead of going back to the hotel just to sit at a McDonald's that was about 3 miles away from the complex. And it was like, you know, really sort of unlike any other McDonald's I'd ever seen. It was full of kiosks, and there was no register. So you didn't have the option of placing your order at the register. It was just kiosk. A lot of these restaurants are going to that. But I sort of sat back. I ordered my food and sort of sat back and watched this, and I was actually really, really impressed. This McDonald's had it down to a science. I sat there for probably, maybe an hour and a half waiting on her practice, and I had my laptop, so I just worked a little bit, and I watched how their operation worked, and I thought for just a brief moment that McDonald's might be on the cutting edge of something that could possibly be better than Chick-fil-A. All right, now before you quit listening to the show and call me a heathen for choosing McDonald's over Chick-fil-A, that is not the case. I'm not there yet. Chick-fil-A does it right. Their systems and their processes and their food and what they stand for, they're second to none in the quick service restaurant. But I was just fascinated by what this one McDonald's was doing. So when I was there on Saturday, they had 3 rock stars working. Now, these were pretty much the only people that were visible to the public. Everybody else was in the back of the house preparing food, getting things ready. But these 3 people, I guess they're called runners or something similar to that. Their only job was to take trays of food to the people once it was ready. It's almost like they copied Chick-fil-A in taking food to the table of somebody who was dining in. So I was really pretty impressed that a McDonald's staff could pull this off. I was so impressed that I went back the next day when I had another 2 hours to kill. Same thing, took the laptop, did a little bit of work. However, on Sunday, I didn't have the same experience. Placed my order just like I did the day before and sat at the table, but my food never came. This time, they only had 1 runner on duty, and he was the exact opposite of a rock star. He didn't want to be there. So after about 20 to 25 minutes, I went up to the place where the runners kind of positioned themselves. Told them I hadn't been served my food yet. Well, the lady that I talked to was a rock star, but for some reason, their system failed. So once I notified her of this and showed her my ticket, my number, she brought my food to me probably within a minute and a half, 2 minutes. She was super apologetic. She went out of her way to make sure that I had everything that I was needed, and we had a really good conversation, and I left there very satisfied. But what I saw operate flawlessly on Saturday with great human interaction hit a snag on Sunday, big time. So what was the one thing that saved my experience on that Sunday trip? Simple. It was human interaction. It was a lady named Donna. I don't know her last name, but she was a rock star. This cannot be replaced by a kiosk. So now I'll turn back to Robo advisors and artificial intelligence. Now, I'm 100% on board with technology advancements. I think a lot of this stuff is pretty cool. If you've not heard of ChatGPT, you should go check it out. I heard about it probably for the first time maybe 2 months ago, but it's only within the last 2 weeks or so that I actually tried it out. And it's actually pretty scary what it can do. And I think in the hands of good people, it could do a lot of really good things. But like a lot of things in the hands of the wrong person with the wrong motivation, this is a recipe for disaster. So for example, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to write you a 2-page summary almost on anything. Why is it hard to hit a curveball? Or what's the best way to prepare or smoke ribs? You can ask it pretty much whatever you want to, and it's going to give you a very well-written, human-like answer. College kids and probably a lot of high school kids are already using this to write papers for school. I had a conversation with a client of mine who's a professor at a local college about a week ago, and he told me there are already anti-chat GPT programs that teachers can use to sort of proof papers to make sure kids aren't cheating this way. So that's sort of where we are. I think we're going to continue to see ads and social media posts that are going to be positioned as if they were written by a real person, but they're not. Computers are already posting fake reviews of products, so it's going to be tougher and tougher to get honest reviews on the things that we're looking to purchase. Hey folks, Lee Perkins here. If you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, You know how much I hate taxes, and I know you probably do too. Our politicians are completely out of control. Their spending is off the chart, and you've got to be prepared for increasing taxes in the future. So we've written a book called Diffuse, 7 Steps to Protecting Your 401k or IRA from the Ticking Tax Time Bomb. You're going to want to grab a copy of this book and learn how you can protect yourself. Then you'll have to decide if you want to take action right now or if you'd rather wait until the IRS changes the rules of the game. Either way, the choice is yours. To get a free copy of the book, just text the word diffuse to 478-475-2050. That's DEFUSE to 478-475-2050. And we'll send you a free copy. Thanks again for listening. Now back to the show. So what about the artificial intelligence that is used in the robo advising world? Is it good or is it bad? Well, I think the reality is there are probably some good features of the robo advisor, and there's probably some bad ones as well. I would say maybe the speed of information could be an advantage that a robo advisor can give you. However, I think the reality is that Google's probably just as quick. Information is everywhere. You just got to know how to find it. You know, when you think about it this way, how important is it to make a split-second decision when it comes to your financial life and your retirement? I can't think of a single retirement decision that has to be made in the next 2.5 seconds. Not one. I mean, there's just not one out there. The problem is sorting through all the information that's available to find what's relevant for you and your particular situation. And then, more importantly, once you get that information, how do you apply it to your situation? Can a robot manage a portfolio? Absolutely they can. They're already doing that, and they've been doing that for a long, long time. However, even if a robot is managing your portfolio, you still control the button because you can always tell it to jump in and out of the market because you get nervous or you heard something on the news. And that robot's not going to be able to give you perspective and remind you that you can't time the market based on the news of the day. Simply put, the robot is not going to be able to deal with the emotions of the average investor or the average retiree. So, in my opinion, this is something that a robo-advisor or a robot or a computer is just not going to be able to do. It's never going to get to know you personally and help you make the best decisions based on all the other external factors that could impact your outcome. This is why I am confident that our company is going to be here for a long, long time. Our mission statement for our firm is simple. I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. We help good people make great decisions so they can enjoy an amazing retirement. And that's what it's all about. We've been doing that for a long time, and we're going to continue to do that for a long time in the future. We're building this firm to be around for the next 50 years or so. So we want to serve not only our clients, their kids, and their grandkids, and maybe even their great-grandkids. Are there going to be changes? Absolutely. But we're going to make sure that we're always striving to do what we think is in the best interest of our clients. And the technology is going to advance as time goes on. So now let me jump back into my McDonald's versus Chick-fil-A discussion. Although McDonald's sort of figured this out at this one location, every other McDonald's I've ever been to, I've had the normal McDonald's experience that we think about when we think of McDonald's. So they've got a lot of work to do to transform their whole brand and their image to provide a consistent experience like the one that I had on Saturday. I think it's just going to be very, very difficult because even that store couldn't duplicate that and give me the same experience for the next day. So again, Chick-fil-A, on the other hand, provides a very consistent experience. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. There are times where the drive-through takes a little bit longer than it should, in my opinion. But most of the time, Chick-fil-A gets it right. The quality of the experience there and the consistency of that operation and the friendliness of that staff is light years ahead of any other quick service restaurant. And I don't even think it's close. And the difference is simple. People. Real people, not a computer. So anyway, I hope this message has been helpful for you. We would love to connect with you and see how we can add value to your situation. And we can do that by scheduling a phone call with our office. Now, you can do this by using a computer by just going to the website www.talkwithlee.com, and you can grab a spot on my calendar. But if you'd rather not deal with a computer and you'd rather deal with a real person, you can call my office directly at 478-254-3550, and I can promise you that a live person will answer the phone. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this message was helpful for you, and hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care. Lee Perkins here, and I want to thank you so much for tuning into the show today. If you like our podcast, we would be honored if you would share the show with others. And one great way to do that is by posting the show to your social media pages or by just telling others about it. Either way, we would really appreciate it. And of course, if you do enjoy the show, we would appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star review, and this certainly helps other people like you find our show. And if you want to learn a little more about our firm and how we help people have the best retirement they can possibly have, go check us out at www.myretirementclarity.com. There are a lot of great resources that you can access directly on the website. And of course, if you want to have a conversation with me, you can visit www.talkwithlee.com, and this will take you directly to my calendar. And there you can schedule a 15-minute phone call so I can learn a little bit more about your situation. Of course, everybody is not a great fit for our firm, but if I think we can add value and put you in a better situation, I'll let you know, and we can certainly talk about the next steps. So thanks again for tuning into the show, and we'll catch you next time.
Investment advisory services are offered by J.L. Perkins Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor and insurance agency. Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified tax, legal, or investment professional before taking any action.